The leader. I'm tired of losing. I'm tired of turning away from the things that I want to believe in. The savior.
Everything seems so far away. Like I'm watching myself, but I'm not really experiencing it.
The redeemer.
It's time to unite the 12 models once and for all.
The righteous.
Faith in our right to survive as a species, as a people. That's not a given. That's a choice.
All will be revealed. Battlestar Galactica. All new every Friday at 10, part of the all-new Sci-Fi Friday.
There were 10 cosplayers.
Shane, you just have to cop to the fact that you made a stupid bet and you lost.
There
were not 10 cosplayers.
You have to count every nerd wearing
you said there had to be more than 10. There weren't even 7. 10. And that's if you count all the people in suits who might have been
every
cosplaying.
Every nerd in a suit was cosplaying
Shane,
as a member of Shinra, because
Shane,
they don't wear suits, they're nerds.
The Metreon is 3 blocks from the financial district. Everyone wears
also,
suits.
There were other cosplayers there. I talked to them, they just didn't have all the stuff for their suits, you know? Like,
okay. Imaginary cosplayers.
So there were
cosplayers in spirit.
There were 10 cosplayers.
So you won in spirit.
I won.
But in fact, I won.
You and I are not going to agree. We're going to have to get an arbiter to come in and
okay, who's going to arbitrate this? Are they going to go back in time?
Anthony was there. Dude, you were there at the Final Fantasy thing. I was right. There were 10 cosplayers. Just tell T-Frog that I was right.
I can't talk right now. I'm playing Company Heroes with Sean and Rory against Relic right now.
Dude, your fucking dirt mining game. Who cares? A boring game. We were talking about Final Fantasy. Who cares? I was right, right?
Sure.
No, come on. Put some heart into it.
Whatever Jeremy says.
See, Anthony totally knows what's up.
Dude, no, we gotta find someone who's really there. That one chick, she looks a lot like Steiner. I think she counts. Let's go.
Whatever.
Let's go ask them.
I want to hear again about the whole origin of Mythos. Like, where did it come from?
Well, we're making Hellgate London, all right? And we're starting from scratch with everything on the game. From the graphics engine to the network infrastructure, the tools, everything is from the ground up. And we think, you know, this is going to be kind of scary to just turn on Hellgate for thousands and thousands of people around the world and be dry running all this new technology. So we thought a great idea is to make a little game, send it out for free, that kind of works the same way, uses the same technology, has the same structure, but it's super simple and super easy. So we decided that, yeah, this is probably worthwhile doing. And we had a perfect guy in mind, someone who we had interviewed to come down and work for us on Hellgate. But because he just had a baby and got a new house in Seattle and all this, wasn't able to do so, we thought, heck, let's give him a one-man project and run with this. And so he loved the idea, and so we decided to do it. And you know, it was a very, very short time after that we realized, yes, this has to actually become a real game. This is just too obvious. It's too, you know, right in the wheelhouse of gaming, and we're all having kind of fun just clicking around with it. So let's turn this into a real project.
It's pretty accessible, and anyone can jump in and not be confused, and it's immediately familiar to anyone who's played not only Diablo series, Diablo 2 on PC, but any game in this enormous legacy. It's basically about going through this world, beating shit up, getting cool stuff for it, bragging to your friends, and then they go and try to, like, you know, get more cooler stuff than you have.
I'll hear the naysayers say, well, it's just Diablo 2, but at the same time, they're totally addicted to it, you know, and it's like, in some ways, it seems like that's enough, you know?
Who doesn't want more Diablo? I mean, we've all been pining for another Diablo game for so long.
And I think the reason that we went with a slightly different aesthetic to it, I mean, Diablo is a little more somber, a little more serious, a little darker, a little more gothic-y. But Mythos is really a lot more social game. You know, you're thrust right into towns with all the people, and it isn't just like you get a little party and go off adventuring. It's really a social game, and we're adding a lot of really social features to it. And so we wanted to put a little bit lighter tone so everyone's not super serious as they're walking around town or, you know, all the time. Really in preparation for us adding these social features like guild support and email and games. We're gonna have a marketplace coming in soon. There's going to be a lot of PvP modes that are competitive and things that we encourage groups to go do. So we really want to push the social aspects of the game.
It's hitting on all cylinders for like this new model of PC gaming that's become, come to the forefront over the past year.
Well, we're doing a lot of things that are kind of speculative with this project. One thing, we're not working with a publisher per se, so we can kind of go on our schedule and do what we think is right with it. And one of the things we're doing is experimenting with an entirely new business model for the game. So we're going to commercialize it relatively soon, this year. And commercialization means only that we're going to turn on money somehow. You're going to be able to download Mythos for free, play it for free, and there's going to be a little item shop in-game where you can buy things that will enhance your experience. We're not going to sell the best sword, the best armor, or whatever, and just let you buy the best character, but we're going to do things that assist you in finding and earning the best stuff. And it's a business model that's very popular in Asian games right now. And in fact, in Asia, the market is dominated by these, RMT games, real money transactions, where you buy little things in game optionally. We're going a little bit more humanitarian with it in that, we're not going to be quite so mercenary in what we're selling, so that it actually is viable to play for free.
I like this game already much more than I enjoyed Hellgate London, which is Flagship's previous game. It's less oppressive, it's just kind of cooler. In the same way that World of Warcraft comes out and it doesn't look as good as Vanguard or as all these other MMOs that came out after it, but it's still like the better game. It's still the game that people want to play. Sure. It's kind of just works. Like, this world's like cool, I can just sit here and play in it a long time.
It's just that they did a really good job with the art.
I think everyone, it's a natural reaction. You want to go out and see the sun. You want to see some flowers. And in this game, you will have the dark dungeons and caves and things, and you'll also have these really beautiful natural environments where, despite the fact that you're battling these horrible monsters, it's very pretty outside, And I think that variety there helps me play for longer periods.
That was a tone that was in the very first things we put together for the game. And I think everyone felt like, it was just comfortable to be in. Some games you get so tense that after a while you realize that your neck is cricked up and you're cramping up and things. But Mythos, it was something where people were just comfortable hanging out in there and chatting with people, running around, killing some monsters. And you do tend to spend a lot of time. In fact, if you look at our metrics on our server data, you see that people spend an average of 2.5+ hours per session. But the fact is, you can get in and do a mission and get out and get to your dinner reservation, in less time than it takes to get your raid party together in World of Warcraft. So it does work, for a short burst and for a long session. And I think that the tone, like you were saying, is a big part of that as well.
The loot system in it, where everyone sees their own items, and you're not trying to who can click the yellow item the fastest. What was your guys' thinking behind creating that sort of system for loot?
That just really came out of a discussion of the things that we found annoying about MMOs and things that people didn't like about them. And one is this: there's certain classes can kind of push ahead, and there's always seemed to be a mad rush for loot. And one of our programmers, Colin Day, I'll give him a shout out because he deserves it, came up with the idea of just saying, hey, let's make it so that you only see your own loot. And none of us could really figure out why that wouldn't work, so we put it in, and it was instantly, it was just a relief, it was a weight off your back that you didn't have to be worrying when you're going around with people of rushing ahead, picking up everything, who gets what. It's just relaxed. You see something drop, and it's a cool item, it's yours, you can pick it up at your leisure, move your stuff around in your inventory, and it isn't this mad, frantic rush anymore.
Basically, it's just the object lost, People love to go through a world and get things that they think are cool and that their friends are going to be envious about. And you have to play it in a social setting like that. If you just do it on your own, there's no one to show off. It's like if you have the mess toys on your block and you got no neighbor kids, it's not half as fun as bringing all of them over to your house and letting them see the USS Flag, GI Joe aircraft carrier that you got. Yeah.
Is it sort of a sign of the times that Flagship spent so many years working on Hellgate, and this was kind of the old paradigm for PC games. This is what a PC game release is going to be like. And then in the past year, it seems like a lot of folks have sort of been going back and reassessing what exactly. You referenced the Asian market. A lot of people have had their eyes there, and then it just seems that Mythos is perfectly characteristic of how things are going right now. Do you think that?
Totally. I think that the box market for a premium AAA game is always going to be big. You're always going to have your mega hits there, but it's increasingly difficult for anyone to really compete in that space just because the cost and time investment in it makes publishers ginchy about spending that kind of money, and so they always want to do the safe things, and you never really break new ground with the safe things. And who's going to compete head-to-head with World of Warcraft? You'd have to spend $150 million and spend 6 years doing it just to get to where they're at, and it just doesn't make sense. So what makes sense is to take the expertise that we have and the technologies and the tools that we've developed for these games like Hellgate London and apply them to what is kind of traditionally a more casual game space, which is the free-to-download, free-to-play games, and bring the AAA production values and stuff into that area where it's been sorely lacking. And make these games once again fairly accessible to people, you know, and give people a variety of titles instead of one every several years. You know, it really makes sense for everybody. It makes sense for gamers. It makes sense for publishers, and it makes sense for developers. So we really feel like the industry is heavily going towards, you know, towards kind of what we call the AAA casual space.
Yeah, I think they'll have like a lot easier time to change like mechanics behind the game and stuff on a whim, like based on what works and player reaction.
Right. One thing I think they've nailed pretty well so far is that the 3 different classes that you can choose from, the Pyromancer, Gadgeteer, and Bloodletter, all of them, Gadgeteer is the one I focused the most on, but I built a couple characters with the other 2 and jumped up a couple levels, and so far they're pretty fun to play. You're getting like cool like skills pretty much right out the bat, and within 2 or 3 levels you've got a few spells, and you can summon a few like zippers to, you know, blow up enemies or whatever, and I feel like that's one thing that they've done really well, is made it fun. I mean, it's so hard not to support this game because it's using a proven formula that's very addictive, that's fun to play, it's got a great art direction, it's really accessible, and it's free. It's like, how can you not like just tell people, go play it? It's like, that's really all there is to it.
Why can't you trust me? You are throwing away our last chance to find Earth.
Hostiles inbound!
Let's go!
How did they find us?
Come on!
Shoot, Anders! The 5 are close. I can feel them.
Stop! What the hell is wrong with you?
I'm not gonna stop! You're gonna have to kill me!
This is not all that we are.
Battlestar Galactica. All new every Friday at 10. Part of the all-new Sci-Fi Friday.
Charge is armed! Fire the hole!
You got your explosive there.
I got my grenade, my head grenade. He's a heavy
Does that mean
grenade.
if you disagree with me that I need to run really quickly?
Or be near someone you can throw it at really fast. But.
Well, if it's anything like the Bad Company grenades are now, you could probably just drop it at my feet and I can...
No splash damage, that's
No
right.
splash damage, yeah. That's probably something that they're going to fix.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that kind of makes me reluctant to say some of the things that I'm going to say because I was really frustrated with my experience a lot of the time.
Right.
But, like, it's a beta, so anything that we're talking about could potentially change.
Right. It's not Call of Duty beta, which was a glorified multiplayer demo. This seems much more like a real beta.
Right.
There are a lot of glitches, a lot of bugs. There's no party. You can't invite friends.
But still, I think it's fair to say that there are certain things that have been in there every Battlefield game and that are still there.
Yeah, it's one of those situations where everything Battlefield does right, it's still there, still fun. Vehicular control is still awesome, but many of the things that Battlefield, you know, has done wrong or had problems with, I don't know about you, but I was getting spawn capped almost non-stop.
Totally. If I was on a losing team, I think my life expectancy was maybe 5 seconds.
Right.
And I would try spawning with my squad. Maybe somebody got away from the battle, or I would try spawning back at the base.
Yeah.
And trying to get out of the action for at least a few seconds. But if they've got you locked down, it's just like every other Battlefield game. Once they've got a chopper in the air and a few tanks around their base, there's no escaping.
Right, and you know, maybe I've been spoiled from Call of Duty 4, but I really miss the kill cam. Because when you spawn and you're dead 3 seconds later, and ultimately you really don't know where it came from. It could have come from anywhere.
Yeah.
And then you spawn again and die again, and once again you don't know where it's coming from. It can be really frustrating.
Right. Well, and once people have, you know, gotten a few ranks and they've unlocked some of the special weapons and they start calling in airstrikes on your base, there's not a whole lot that you can do.
You know, we can't talk about this beta without talking about the, you know, pay for weaponry add-on stuff.
Right.
I mean, if you want these add-on weapons, you're gonna have to pay real money for it.
Which...
Now, there are some add-on weapons that you'll be able to get from pre-ordering at different retailers, big box retailers, and they've said that those guns will be unlocked for free later on into the life of the game. I don't know. I hope this isn't the beginning of a trend.
Right.
I mean,
that's really a case of microtransactions just taken too fucking far.
Right.
When you're actually hampering gameplay experiences, because imagine going into an online match, and you told me earlier that you'd been reading that this is going to be a very single player focused Battlefield game,
right,
unlike the others. So, but there's still the multiplayer element,
yeah.
And I can imagine being in a multiplayer setting where somebody else has bought these weapons and they have this advantage. That's not going to make me want to go out and buy the weapons. It's going to make me not want to play the fucking game.
Yeah, I mean, when you're spending $60 for a game, you really want to nickel and dime people for like $2 or $3 for extra guns.
Right.
And they've said that the guns won't offer a competitive advantage.
And if they don't offer a competitive advantage, then why would people want to pay for them?
Exactly.
So I think that's PR. I actually really like the destructible buildings. You know,
yeah.
It's really cool being in some place and a wall explodes.
And you know, we've seen games that do the destructible environments before. Usually it's very much pre-scripted. I know they offer a lot of freedom in this game. One of the matches in the like Evergreen Forest, and the guy was running through, and someone shot a rocket launcher at the tree, and it broke off and hit the guy running underneath it in the head, and he died. I don't know if it was from the tree falling on his head or just concussion from the rocket launcher, but I have to say, like, watching that, it kind of blew me away.
I hope it was from the tree, because that's just awesome.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm choosing to believe.
Right.
But, I mean, and this game really gets the whole chaos. Like, there's no place to hide on this battlefield.
Oh, yeah.
You duck behind a wall and a tank shoots at it. That wall's gone, and you have nowhere else to hide.
Right. I think you can also, once you do get used to it, you're going to be able to really use it to your advantage. Like, there was one point where I was actually in a backyard, and I'm like, how the hell do I get out of this place? And I couldn't find a way out, and I was like, oh, I have a rocket launcher. Oh, I can just shoot that fence.
Yeah.
Just, boom, made my own path.
I was playing a game of peekaboo with one of the tanks. I had the rocket launcher, and I ducked out from behind a wall, shot him, went behind a sand dune. He couldn't get to me. Jumped up over the sand dune really quick, just enough to get my cursor on him. Shot again, plus 10, boom, dead.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So.
Well, those are definitely like. Those are pure Battlefield moments that are definitely still in this game. I think it's actually harder to get those moments now because you can't hide because of the spotting. The on-screen blip
pops up when you fire your gun.
That pops up, yeah. You fire your gun at somebody, and when you fire your gun at somebody, I don't know if you actually have to hit them or if you just have to fire at them. It was sort of like the way that they used to do the spot in the old Battlefield, where it was actually a separate command, which would say like, tank here or soldier here, but it seems this time, if you just point your gun at somebody and you pull the trigger, then it does the spot automatically.
Right, yeah, I mean, it kind of reminds me of Ghost Recon Advanced Warfighter, when you could put up, you could put up the little UAVs, and if the UAV spotted them, they would appear in 3D real space, but that UAV had to be in the air and had to be able to see them. This time it seems like it just magically pops up if they fire their gun. They pop up.
Well, regardless, I don't like it.
Yeah.
I don't like the blip. I don't like not being able to hide from anybody. That removes a whole level of FPS skill sets. You get used to going around corners, you know, obfuscating people's vision and using that to your advantage, and this kind of just wipes that all away.
Yeah. The core gameplay feels good. The destructibility feels good. I think the sound design's really good.
Definitely. The thing that confused me though is this little every now and then this squeak would pop up and I'm like, what the fuck is that?
Well, I've talked to a couple buddies, and we've come up with, it's a theory. We believe most modern military personnel, they have a headset with speaker and microphone, and we think anytime you go near an explosion, it causes an overload of the speaker, and it's the reverb from the speaker that's coming through and causing that squawk. I think it possibly might add a lot to the game. Say if you had a team that was coordinating verbally and talking to one another, and it would be interesting to see if it overloaded, if you were unable to
disrupt their communications.
Yeah, I mean that would be kind of interesting. It would just add a whole other element of just this shock of war.
it does feel a lot like the last Battlefield game.
Right, and your skill sets will transfer.
They will
transfer. If you're a hardcore Battlefield player.
Right. But the one skill set that I think doesn't transfer is like dropping to your knee, taking a sec, and going pop, pop, pop. Like that first shot was almost always 100% accurate if you just took your time to aim a little bit. And this game definitely feels more pray and spray.
Yeah, in this game, you kind of just aim at the other guy and hope that one of the bullets kills him. The destructibility, I am enjoying it in multiplayer, but I'm really looking forward to getting my hands on single player and see how that plays out.
Mines. Bomb. Missile.
For a PSN game, this was kind of thought of, oh, not a real Wipeout. Well, it is a real Wipeout now, and
I think they amped it up. I think it's bigger than what it was originally planned.
I think it looks pretty phenomenal.
I love the PSP games too. I thought they were great, and this is almost like a greatest hits version of the PSP games. If you hadn't, for whatever reason, if you didn't have a PSP and you didn't play these two games that just came out, this is going to be monumental.
Right. Well, the tracks and the music, they are kind of repurposed from those games. But you're right; those games were great. And a lot of people didn't play them.
Whenever anyone walks up when I'm playing it, they're just like, "Wow, this is really."
It's a phenomenal sense of speed. It's very smooth. Yeah, it's really what you want. It feels familiar. The weapons, almost all the good weapons are back. It seems balanced because some of the past Wipeouts, the weapons were too strong.
Right. I mean, we only have 4 tracks so far, and like you said, this beta version or whatever it is we're playing is kind of buggy.
A little buggy.
It's a little buggy, but I mean, I don't know. I think the biggest gameplay change is the thing we've talked about. It's the most important. The control. The motion control is just incredible in this game.
I mean, we're both old school Wipeout guys, and it's the first real sensation that's changed the series in a good way to me since like Wipeout XL and 3, which are the last ones I really loved.
Yeah.
Final lap.
All the other PS3 racing games, I start out with motion control and eventually I succumb to analog or digital. And this is one where I feel it really fundamentally changes the experience to the level where I really want to learn. I know you have already learned.
Yeah, well, I'm learning it, right? I've played Wipeout on D-pads for, whatever, over 10 years now, right? And I'm good at it.
Not just steering, it's also the pitch, and it's crucial.
You just turn it like this to turn left and right, and up and down to control the pitch. And if you're using a DualShock, which you have to,
this game really works well with DualShock.
Yeah, like what it does is it rumbles when you're off pitch, when you're not like on the same pitch that you should be compared to the track. And like you said, you can worry about pitch on the D-pad. It's just up and down on the D-pad, but a lot of people I think just disregard that. If you come up aboard some really sharp turn, you can kind of pull back a little bit, slow yourself down because your pitch is totally wrong for that part of the track, and make a nice kind of smooth curve.
Well, and that first time you're going to be hitting walls, you're going to be frustrated, you're going to want to give it up.
It's basically like the first time I used the force feedback wheel. I was always overcompensating, so I'd be snaking left and right down the track, when in actuality what you really want to do is just go straight.
Right.
I've been playing for a whole week now, and I'm getting pretty good, but still when I play on Phantom class, the fastest class, I'm hitting walls. I'm not perfect yet.
You're definitely better with motion control than I am. Do you feel that when this game comes out, the guys who master that, will they be able to own the online players who are playing with digital? Do you think it's going to be a real divide?
I think it's going to look nicer when they play. If you know your line perfectly, it just looks pristine as you're sliding through it. I've been playing entirely with motion control, and so I decided that I'd try the D-pad again,
right,
just to see what it was like. And since I had been playing for like 4 or 5 days with motion control, it felt very static. Like I felt like I was going to an active experience to a passive experience.
Yeah.
And for me to say that Wipeout feels like a passive experience is just strange to me. When I was playing with my 5.1 headphones on and doing the motion control, like I've never felt like I was in it. Yeah, I was as immersed as I've ever been in a Wipeout game before. I wish they kind of stuck it more in the forefront. Like said, this is a new Wipeout, this is the thing that's new in this game, but motion control defaults to off. You have to, the first setting you can switch to on is like pitch only, and one more setting over is pitch and steering. I mean, it's really, you have to want to learn motion control. You know, it does take a long time. When you learn how to do this, it feels really good, and it felt like what I felt like after I learned to fly a helicopter in Battlefield Desert Combat, which came out years ago. It was just something that, you know, you'd have to spend a weekend learning how to play, and then once you know it, you love it. It's just fun.
I think after 5 races, you'll see appreciable increase in your skills.
Oh,
stick with it. Don't give it up. Because I thought about giving up, and I'm going to stick with it myself.
Final lap.
Custom soundtracks, which is like so important to this game, and it really does a good job with them. Like you actually get to see things changing and the audio changes.
Yeah, zone mode is incredible. You know, it's been in since Wipeout Pure, but in Pulse they just repurposed the in-game tracks with this kind of new effect on the top of them, and that's what they've done here. But the effect is amazing.
When this like wave of energy comes and changes the whole track and colors, and so you see these like visual representations of the audio waveforms of the music like pulsating on the tracks, and when you play your own songs, it really just puts you in it. It almost makes it feel like a rhythm game in a way.
The actual soundtrack in the game, even though it's mostly songs from Pulse, because they're mixed in 5.1 now, if you happen to be playing on a 5.1 system, it's like just incredible. I mean, the game just sounds way better than it's ever sounded.
Zone 10, clear.
You know, I've never used it in the PSP version, but I like the photo mode in this one too. The fact that you can kind of frame up your own. Well, it's really rudimentary, but it's
but you can even add like motion blur effects, and you took some pretty cool looking screens.
I mean, that's just it. It's like when you're using it, you're like, oh, this could be so much better. But then you look at the screenshots you can actually make with it. It's pretty impressive.
Well, you can set them as your wallpaper. You can send them to friends, share them at home. You know, it's very forward thinking. Our biggest complaint with this game is kind of, it seems like a minor nitpick, but it's the crappy HUD.
In Wipeout, it's so fast, you have to be able to quickly look, just a fraction of a second, up at places on your HUD to know information, and you can't do that with it.
It's ugly because the menus look really good. The menus are like a Wipeout 3 minimalist, stylish thing, the wireframes, and then like you get to the HUD and it's just tacky and in your face, and I don't like it. It seems like something they could still fix. I mean, they have some time, maybe give it some options for what the HUD looks like. So
just make it look more like the menus. I mean, the menus have like clean Helvetica text, like, you know, crisp, simple lines. Like that's what I want the HUD to look like.
You know, they still haven't announced pricing on this, and we've been wondering, well, how much would you pay? And I would.
How much would you pay?
Well, you know, assuming it has 8 to 12 tracks, we're kind of assuming.
Yeah, that's what we want.
Yeah,
plus downloadable content.
8 to 12 tracks, plus downloadable content, 8-player online, custom soundtracks. I would easily pay $29.
Oh yeah.
And I would begrudgingly pay $39. And if it's something like $20, it's a steal.
I would be fine paying as much as I'd pay for a PSP game at least. So I'd pay $40 and that would be fine. And I hope they go for $29.99. I think that would be an outstanding price.
Yeah, it's for me the most exciting PSN release yet. I mean, Warhawk was great. Like there's been some good stuff, but this for me is what PSN is all about. I can't wait to play on it.
I can't wait until I don't have to play my 4-track buggy demo anymore, and I can like play the real final finished version. I'm just really excited.
Oh my God,
it's lovely,
beautiful.
We're silent. And we have been from the start.
It's time to learn the truth. This is not a dream. It's real.
What if she's telling the truth? I believe you.
I need to know about the other 5. They're here with you. God has a plan for us. You will lead them all to their end.
Battlestar Galactica, the final season. All new every Friday at 10 on Sci-Fi.
I was talking to Josh Mascara and some of the other people that work at Relic on the company here's team, like last year, like let's get around to a game, and it was always like, yeah, as soon as we can, or like, oh, there's another patch coming, let's do it after then. And then you like saw someone at the show and ran up to him
at GDC and harassed him
like some kind of crazy fanboy.
Yeah, I
like,
did.
we want to play you. He's like, all right. And then he made it happen. Before we even started though, I thought we were gonna lose because they had the balance team guy on. I was like, okay, he's gonna have coached them and they're gonna have a plan and we're gonna be screwed with
Plus
team
they're all
coordination.
sitting in a room together, not even on vent. Like they were literally there together. I don't know, just all these things stacked up against us, and the fact that a new patch had just come out.
But I mean, we poop socked the game pretty much though, so it was like we had every one of those days to learn it. We talk about how we play sometimes in the podcast, and we were talking about, you know, we call it the bang bus, where we you know, you can see it in the replay where we take our HQs and move them up to the front lines immediately. I heard that now internally everyone refers to it also as the bang bus. But so when the first match started, 3 of the people on their team all came straight for me. They knew the bang bus was there. They started putting up like mines on the road to stop any other ones that would come forward. Man, it could have just been that's how it happened, but I was like thinking
Like
they decided
they knew
we gotta,
that Sean should die.
Yeah, let's take him out so he can't talk a word of shit. I thought it was over. You guys, I would hear you talking about there's an MG over here or something, and I'd be like, don't worry about that MG, man. There's
like 20 squads in my base.
Yeah, even if it got me out that early, I wouldn't have been out. I could have like got another truck and just moved into your guys' bases.
I think that would have been it though.
You know what happens to morale when you're playing and one person on your team is losing and everyone else is doing fine, just like, I'm out guys, I'm out, and then it's just like drags everyone down. So they could have like, they were probably shooting for that, but they didn't take out my casualty clearing center, so every time they killed my guys, the meds would just come out and pick them back up.
Destroyed a German target. Italian HQ is confirmed. It can start securing resources from the area.
The second game, we usually play allies, and then this time we were playing Axis.
On a map that they said was clearly ally favored. Which is why we talked him into playing it.
Yeah. I don't know if I agree with that, but
I don't think it is.
It sounds like we're setting it up to say that we lost this time, and we almost did. You know, I mean,
all signs point to us losing the whole game, like until like 45 minutes in.
You were like,
I was in my base
man.
The whole time in vent. I was basically like, and not necessarily in vent because I didn't want to bring you down. But when Garnet came over and looked over my shoulder, he was like, "You're done." I'm like, "I know, dude. I don't even know why I'm still playing."
Yeah, I've had to yell at you before, like, dude, pack your fucking stuff up, move it into our base, and start again. Rory and I were like on the right side of the map. You and Matt were on the left, so we said, all right, forget about them. Let's just assume worst case scenario, they're going to be wiped out and we're going to be facing like 4 against 2, but just keep going. And 4v4 is a big game, so there's so many things happening. And right when we did this big counteroffensive and like really started knocking one of their teammates out, you guys had at that point amassed like a whole bunch of tanks and armor. You had ammo for artillery strikes and stuff. Then you had like a fair battle on your side.
Target destroyed. They're scratching your paint job, Helmut.
But as soon as you took out like the first couple of guys' bases, they just wanted to call it. I mean, it was pretty much over at that point, but I mean, who could have seen that coming? Seriously.
This is the thing with when you watch replays, there's always like, oh, if I would have done this or if I would have done that, and so it's like anyone can critique in hindsight, you know, if they did the same thing as us, let's just ignore the guys that are going to come like hit us on this side and throw everything we got, and then it would have just been this lopsided.
Right, they've thrown everything at me early on.
Us against the other, you know. The whole time we were wondering if we were going to win. I mean, it wasn't like
just gonna get our ass beat.
Yeah, there was never any like serious route where like this isn't fun because it's clear that it's lopsided. You know, one team is like better than another. So it was fun the entire time, and well, I think they had fun too. They were talking about playing us again.
Well, not playing us though. That dude Aldrich that I contacted from Relic said that he's gonna put together an even better team. So it's not even gonna be the same people. Next time it'll probably be like 4 balance testers versus us, and they'll watch our replays or something.
I got the emails too, and it was like rematch, rematch, rematch. It's like, man, can't you just let us like feel
some glory for a while? Yeah.
Enjoy our victory for a little bit before you threaten us with like your A team, you know?
Yeah.